welcome back to another Banjo Adventures video lesson. In this video lesson we are going to be looking at which fork in the road we're going to go down. So we've got to this point now where we've learnt, well, hopefully we should be fairly confident with our basic frailing strum, and by now if you've watched my videos up to this point we would have gotten to grips with that D7 chord. Open G, D7. So now it's the case of where do we go from here? What other chords do we need to learn, and how many chords do we need to learn? What is the minimum number, etc, etc, loads of questions. So you'll be glad to know that unfortunately there are hundreds of chords to learn, but for us beginner banjo players we only need to learn a handful. And when I say a handful, I mean even at the moment, we know standard open G, the D7, and with just them two chords we can play a handful of songs. So if you throw in one extra chord into the mix, it unlocks thousands of potential songs that we can play. But which chords do we learn? That is the big question. So obviously the D7 is fairly straightforward. It's just a two-finger chord position there. As far as chord shapes go with the banjo, that's probably one of the easiest ones that we can start with. The good old D7. And then there are other two-finger chord positions like the E minor. So we could start with that, go for another two-finger chord position, keep it nice and simple. Or if you really wanted to push the boat out, we could go for a three-finger chord position like a C or a D or an E. The list is endless. We could learn loads, but obviously what wouldn't make any sense is starting our second chord position with something as tricky as the F chord, which requires all four fingers, and it's quite a tricky, cumbersome chord to hold. So obviously what we don't want to do is jumping straight into the deep end with our second chord position with something as complex and as awkward as the F chord, do we? Because that would be mean, wouldn't it? That'd be cruel to put you through that torture, to go from a D7 to an F. No, that's not a good idea, is it? Let's keep it nice and simple, two fingers. Nope. We're going to go D7, and today we're going to learn the elusive F chord. If you see, it requires all four of my fingers, and I look like a contortionist. And that is because, in my opinion, it is one of the more challenging chord positions to fret on the banjo. Obviously for the simple reason it requires all four fingers. So what I'm going to do to start with, obviously get your banjo, get yourself tuned to standard open G, check your tuning, because as we know our banjos go out of tune without warning. And then once you're in your standard open G tuning, what I'm going to do straight away is just force that F chord shape. Now what I'll do, I'll walk you through it, and then once we've done it you'll just get a feel for it to see how it feels in your hand, and you'll understand how at first it's going to feel like it's going to be a million years before you get to grips with it and it becomes natural. But the reason why I'm teaching the F chord at such an early stage is because I think it's important to realise that when you learn the banjo, not everything is as it seems. Everything appears difficult at first, but once you break it down into manageable layers it becomes a lot easier and it makes more sense. So let's get straight to it. So grab your banjo. You'll need a neck strap for this, just so it supports, so I'm not fighting with my fretting hand to keep it upright. So like I said, we're tuned to open G, and then we're going to start with our pinky finger, our little finger, and that is going to sit on the first string, okay, at the 3rd fret. So pinky finger, 1st string, 3rd fret. It should make the 1st string sound like that. Okay, so you're going to anchor that pinky finger there. Okay, so just bear with me, stick with me, you'll be fine. Next we're going to stretch that ring finger across onto the 4th string on the same fret. So ring finger, 4th string, 3rd fret, and that should make the 4th string sound like this, from this to this. Okay, so anchor them two fingers there. Okay, next thing you want to do is take your middle finger and plant that on the 3rd string, that's your middle string, at the 2nd fret. So it should make the middle string sound from this to this. And finally, that index pointer finger, we're going to stick that one on the 2nd string at the 1st fret. So it should make the 2nd string go from this to this. Now hopefully, all being well, you've got all your fingers in position, and then you're going to strum all the strings at once and it should make a beautiful sounding F chord. Nope. And the reason for that is because you're probably holding it like I'm holding it there, with all my fingers squatted down awkwardly. Now if you find that, the reason for that is the pads of our fingers are muting the other strings and we're not getting a clean chord, just like we learnt the D7. But with D7 only required 2 fingers, now we've got all 4 fingers, so we've got double the trouble and double the amount of problems. So what you want to do is attack the strings from top down, and the easiest way to do that is with this part of your arm here. You want to sort of like curl your wrist around a bit, just it makes it as if you're attacking the strings from top down, and that should hopefully give you a nice clean sounding F chord. Now I'm going to do something really cruel now. I'm going to tell you to take your hand off, give your hand a wiggle, and now you put your hand back into the F chord position, and I'll wait here while you do it. Come on, sometime today. Not easy, is it? Because obviously it's 4 fingers, we're going from nothing. We've learnt that D7, nice and easy, 2 fingers, and now we're trying to really get our heads around that new F shape. And not only this shape, but we're trying to obviously get it to ring cleanly without any muted strings. So in Banjo Adventures, our members have been working on playing the tune Skip to My Lou, and to do that we've been obviously working on that G and the D7 transition, as well as the basic frailing strum. Because what Banjo Adventures is, it's an online membership site where we're all learning how to play Clawhammer banjo together from scratch with no prior musical experience needed. And I am available every day as if I'm your personal coach, and we've got something really good going on at the moment. So if you're interested in joining and you're serious about wanting to learn Clawhammer banjo, check out banjoadventures.com, and I would be delighted to teach you how to play. So remember I said to you that there is ways of doing things and ways of making things easier for us. So just listen for a second to how I play the F chord. Okay, now watch what happens when I just lift up my pinky finger. Obviously it sounds different because we're not playing all the strings, we're not fretting all the strings. But it's not hugely different, is it? Now watch what happens when I just strum the bottom 3 strings, so 4th, 3rd and 2nd strings. Doesn't really make much of a difference, does it? And that chord shape there, when we take our pinky finger off, that's called the F6 chord. So it's not a full F, it's an F6. So what we're going to do is, instead of learning the F full position, we're going to learn that F6. Why? Because it's a lot easier. Because we're not incorporating that little finger, that pinky finger. So we're going to learn the F6 position. So, and believe it or not, we can play a song with that. Maybe not. G and F6. It's funny because never in a million years would I have thought that I would ever be teaching people how to play the banjo. I remember it's coming up to nearly 20 years now when I first picked up my very first banjo, and I remember the struggles that I went through to learn. And you know, in a blink of an eye, it's just gone, and now I'm in a position now where I'm recording myself and hopefully teaching people how to play. And I think part of the problem why people give up is they think that they're not making progress when they are, and it's hard to see that progress, you know, and that's what deters people and it puts people off. this little book here. It's called The Path of the Hobo, and it's the Banjo Adventures Clawhammer Learning Journal. So rather than just your typical learn how to play banjo book, this is more like a journal that you can write notes in. So it's got lots of blank journaling pages in it, and you can track your own progress from day one. And it's got QR codes in it for exclusive video lessons that are only available to Banjo Adventures members. It gives you the option to like reflect on what you've learned, because learning isn't always just sitting there and just grinding it out every single day. Just learning is everything. It's, you know, knowledge, listening to other people play, just tuning your banjo up, just sitting there, getting used to the feel of it. But a big part of learning is reflecting on where you've come from. And, you know, in a short amount of time, it's amazing what knowledge you pick up and what you do learn. And without having the facility to look back and realise where you've come from, it's hard to understand that you are making progress. And for that reason, I wrote that book. And, you know, in 3, 4, 5 years' time, when you're playing songs, or you might have joined a band, or who knows where you'll be, but that could be like a keepsake to look back on. So at the end of this video, we're going to learn the tune Old Joe Clark. So let's just take that F6 position then. Obviously it's still 3 fingers and it's still a lot trickier than the D7. Or is it? Because look at your fingers now, look where they are, and tell me if you notice anything with that position. Have you seen it yet? No? How about you lift your ring finger up? Does that sound familiar to you? It's a D7, isn't it? So all that F6 position is, it's that D7 that we've been learning all this time, with a little bit of ring finger yoga to stretch across and press that 4th string down. So we've taken something at the beginning that's considered one of the more complicated positions, the F shape. You remove your pinky and it doesn't really make much of a difference, although it does change it to an F6. And all the F6 is that D7 chord that we know and love, with a little bit of ring finger yoga stretched across. So that is our new chord position that we're going to practice. Try and get a nice clean sound. Obviously attack the strings from top down, and then just move from a D7 to the F6 position. G. D7. F6. So we're going to use that new chord position to learn the tune Old Joe Clark. And I've just realised I'm running out of battery on this phone, so what we'll do, we'll take this back to the recording room, the recording studio at my home, and we will work on the tune Old Joe Clark, which uses only the G and that new F6 position. G, F6. You hear it there? It's one of the great first banjo tunes to learn. So we've worked on Skip to My Lou, and I think we've done it justice. I know it's time to work on this cool new tune, Old Joe Clark. amazing what you can do with just 2 chords, isn't it? So welcome back to the recording studio, and without application, knowledge is useless. So everything that I showed you up on the hill there, without putting it into practice, it's pointless knowing. So especially with learning the banjo, you know, it's a practical skill, so we need to really sit down and start drilling home them techniques that I showed you before. So just a quick recap: the F6 chord, you're going to fret your D7 as you normally would, and then with your ring finger you're just going to stretch it over, and if you find it quite a stretch, try and curl your wrist round like I showed you, and then you should get a nice clean D7, nice clean F6 chord. Try again. So D7, F6. And in this tune, I've realised that this video is about 15 minutes long already, so what we're going to do is, with this exercise, we're just going to learn the first part of Old Joe Clark, and I'll put the tabs on screen like I normally do, and we'll do a simple play along. Going to keep it as simple as possible, and if you want to evolve what we learned today, if you click on the link, I'm going to put a link in the description at the bottom of this video. You can click on that link, it'll take you to my website. You can download the PDFs. I'm going to put three tab printable PDFs that you can download and print, and they'll be in 3 different levels. So you have like an easy level, medium, and then difficult. So something that you can work on, and then you can put that new technique into practice. Anyway, so I'll put the tabs on the screen now, and yeah, so this is the first part of the tune Old Joe Clark, and I'll just do a quick playthrough of what the tune sounds like now. So it'll go like this. It involves quite a lot of single string picking as well. I always forget the last brush drum at the end there. So yeah, so it's got a bit of action on the first string. So that's quite a lot of fun to play. And yeah, so we'll just go for it one line at a time, and we'll play through. I won't set a metronome for this, we'll just play at a steady tempo. Okay, so ready when you are? Ready? 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. One, 2, and 3, 4, and. One, 2, and 3, 4, and. One, 2, and 3, 4, and. So now we've played through that a few times, and you get a feel of where that F6 chord comes into play. Obviously you're just going to transition from standard open G to F6, and it just gives you that feeling. What you might find yourself doing to start with is, obviously you'll start with that D7 and then incorporate your finger. So you might D7, But what you'll find is over time that sort of space there between fretting your D7 and tapping that ring finger on will get shorter and shorter until you can eventually go from nothing to fretting that chord in one, just like we did with the D7. And then eventually, when you get comfortable doing that, you can incorporate your pinky finger back in and play that full F chord. But we just learn it one thin layer at a time rather than getting stuck trying to do too much at once. So yeah, you can play this tune with the F6 chord, or you can just play the full size F if you want to evolve another step further. It's perfectly fine. One last thing is with the beginning part where you've got a single string plucking, you could evolve that and add more melody notes to it, so you could incorporate double thumbing or drop thumbing. So if you wanted to double thumb your way through it, you could do, and it sounds like this. Try again. Or you could drop thumb your way through it. Because there's never only one way to play a song. This song could be played a million different ways. It could be infinitely simple, or it could be infinitely difficult. So it all depends on what abilities you have, what frailing or right hand techniques you've learned, and incorporating it into the tune. So the tabs that I'll put in the description will have, like I said, level 1 will just be a simple frail your way through the song. The level 2 will incorporate the right hand drop thumb and double thumb techniques, and then level 3 will have embellishments like slides and hammer-ons. So work on those 3 tabs and build up your abilities slowly, one layer at a time. So yeah, hope you found this video very useful. Like I said, check out the link, get your free stuff, the free PDF downloads, and include these slides as well on the link. So if you wanted to obviously peel yourself away from YouTube and watch or play through this again, just looking at the slides that I put on the screen now, you can do that. Yeah, so thank you for watching the video, and I will see you on the next Banjo Adventures video lesson.